Hey there, folks. I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. These are the album bomb weeks I always tend to find a little perplexing, mostly because the fuse seems delayed, for lack of better words. Post Malone may have cut a swath across the Hot 100, but like with a couple other huge album bombs, many of his songs didn't crash out this week hard, which meant that many other songs didn't rebound as big as you would expect. All this translates to a pretty mild week for me on the charts, and while I'm not complaining, I can't help but feel like I'm waiting for that next shoe to drop, and that might not even come next week. Anyway, our top 10, where Truth Hurts by Lizzo solidifies its hold on the number one thanks to rock solid sales and dominant radio. Yeah, her lack of streaming is a weakness, but when your closest competition is Señorita by Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello at number 2, which lags in every category and took losses in sales, Lizzo doesn't really have much to worry about here. Now, we did see a mild bounce back for Bad Guy by Billie Eilish to number 3, but it's tanking across the board, only highlighting the prominent gap between our top 2 and everyone else. Which leads to the most unwelcome gain thus far, Someone You Love by Lewis Capaldi at number 4. It's got the radio and the sales to make a serious push, although without even consistent streaming, I do question how much of a run it can seriously make. Now compare this to Panini by Lil Nas X, entering the top 10 and vaulting into number 5 thanks to robust streaming, huge YouTube, and even a little bit of radio. It's on the rise right now. Yeah, the sales aren't really there, but I can see this making a play, at least for a little while. Blue Right Pass Ransom by Lil Tecca at number 6, huge streaming but pretty much nothing else, and No Guidance by Chris Brown featuring Drake at number 7, which is holding on streaming and YouTube but isn't consistent enough on the radio to make much of a run on anything. Then we got the expected drop-offs for Post Malone as the album bomb fades, with Goodbyes with Young Thug fading back to number 8 and Circles going back to number 9. Although in the latter case, it's got the streaming stability and is making the radio run to likely stick around for a solid while. Finally, sliding back into the top 10, Old Town Road by Lil Nas X featuring Billy Ray Cyrus. Even if everyone might be sick of it by this point, the radio and streaming is still holding strong. This might not go away so quickly. But to continue back into our losers and our dropouts, the funny thing about a lingering album bomb is that you would expect it to take out even more songs that are flailing, and Post Malone absolutely did it with Hey Look Ma, I Made It by Panic at the Disco, which clinched its year-end spot, and both Go Loco by YG Tyga and John Z, and Easier by 5 Seconds of Summer that are likely missing that year-end list, and I'm not complaining. But what I found fascinating is that it wasn't just Post Malone's new songs suffering losses. Yes, Enemies with DaBaby went to 26, Hollywood's Bleeding fell to 31, Saint Tropez melted down to 33, Die For Me with Future and Halsey dropped to 42, On the Road with Meek Mill and Lil Baby crashed at 48, 1,000 Bad Times skidded down to 60, Staring at the Sun with SZA burned out at 70, and Allergic spiraled down to 78, but it wasn't just him. Self-Control by Youngboy Never Broke Again also collapsed down to 83, and Shameless by Camila Cabello flamed out as expected at 95, along with a continued loss for Rearview Town by Jason Aldean and All By Myself to Dan Shay. Not good for two songs that are fighting for their year-end list spot. Hell, the only other loser here was Slide Away by Miley Cyrus, which is just fading out with no momentum. Kinda happens there. Now here's the thing. Normally you don't see losers rebound from this sort of album bomb so much as songs that were consistently strong and didn't really move before it pick up gains that were in the wake of it, capitalize on other weaknesses. Hell, the only loser that made a recovery was Right Back by Khalid, and I'm not going to complain about that one. Now granted, it's counterbalanced by the one new arrival, 223s by YNW Melly and Glock 9 surging up to 59, but you take what you can get. And indeed, we did get some songs holding steady from last week make their move here. How Do You Sleep by Sam Smith up to 29, On Chill by Wale featuring Jeremiah at 35. Seriously, how is this even making a run, even with the radio? Time by NF at 53, Ballin' by Mustard featuring Roddy Ricch at 55, Prayed For You by Matt Stell at 57, and Good Vibes by Chris Jansen up to 74. Of course, the big story for me is that Even Though I'm Leaving by Luke Combs is getting a serious push up to 62, and the big question here is whether or not it can make a strong enough run to clinch the year-end spot. Now, watching its radio and sales run, it is very possible, but there's only 8 weeks left in the Billboard year after this, so it's gonna go down to the wire. Oh, we also had a couple scattered returns, which I don't expect much. What If I Never Get Over You by Lady Antebellum at 96, Wish Wish by DJ Khaled, Cardi B, and 21 Savage rebounding at 98, and We Were by Keith Urban at 99. But now for a pretty brisk list of our new arrivals, starting off with number 100, Remember You Young by Thomas Rhett.
I'll always remember you young.
I'll be honest, when I saw a new Thomas Rhett song debuting on the Hot 100, I just felt drained. But I will give him credit for picking one of the 2 good ones off that new album, a piano ballad that leans into gentler tones and what sounds like an accordion and some deeper string sections. Yeah, there's a drippy beat that doesn't quite work, and I think some of the bombast is a little oversold on that bridge, but the organic drums, they do slide in pretty quickly. There's a gentle enough groove here, as Thomas Rhett makes his lightweight version of Alan Jackson's Remember When, as he focuses only on remembering the best earlier moments, which, okay, honestly, I could question it as it's not quite as mature as it should be. You want to be able to grow up with people, but this song is really too benign and pleasant to really criticize much. And yeah, it's fine. Not Thomas Rhett's best by any mark, but it's not bad either. Number 97, One Too Many by Luke Combs and Brooks and Dunn.
One too many.
This is the sort of collaboration that if you know your 90s country, it'll make a ton of sense. Because Brooks and Dunn, they were never the deepest or heaviest of their scene, but they did throw together a rollicking good time, which makes them a natural fit for Luke Combs now. And this... look, I don't know what I was expecting, but if you had told me this had dropped around 91 to 93, I probably would have bought it, because this is exactly the sort of neo-traditional honky-tonk country with rich electric guitar tones, a quick tempo, the saloon piano, and decent enough harmonies that makes a really good Brooks and Dunn song of that era. Hell, it's almost to the point where you can tell that Luke Combs fits in a little too seamlessly, and you wish he had a little bit more interesting interplay, especially considering when you look at the lyrics, this is as direct and propulsive of a drinking song in country I've seen in some time. But for this kind of chugging, blatant throwback that clearly owes a lot of its melodic DNA to Down on the Farm by Tim McGraw, yeah, I can't help it. I like this a lot. Fun stuff, check it out. Number 91, Hot Girl Bummer by blackbear.
That hot girl bummer anthem, turn it up and throw attention. This that hot girl bummer anthem.
Okay, no, we're not doing this. We're not enabling one of the most flagrantly unlikable and shallow acts working in music today to try and flip what Megan Thee Stallion has built. Nobody asked for this, and I don't buy for a goddamn second that blackbear is so out of touch that he didn't know how Megan was moving in these streets. So for him trying to capitalize on it remains cheap as all hell. Oh, and yeah, the song is goddamn asinine. Why did you make the hand clap and the guitar sound so damn cheap and peppy on the hook when it doesn't match any of the atmosphere of the song, especially that deeper groove, and then remain a disaffected non-presence as a shitty sing rapper? Well, like always, what's truly gross about blackbear is the writing and content, where it seems like he's setting out to take down every girl who got into the whole hot girl summer thing, but then framing it as an everyone sucks, including me anthem. But that's never how it feels if you look at the details, because the girls are all being framed as too thick. What does that even mean? And then who buy likes and cheat every Thursday, unlike him who has bottles and racks and does one more line and can't fit in a Trojan and is pulling up with an emo chick that's broken. Seriously, the undercurrent of pissy misogyny is really hard to overlook. So, yeah, this is flat out terrible. Can we consign blackbear back to irrelevance where he belongs? Because this is shit. Let's move on. Number 76, Mood Swings by A Boogie with the Hoodie. I've been frustrated that I haven't found an A Boogie song I truly can like yet. Look back at it, actually kinda got close thanks to the production and the melody, but he never quite gets there in the content, and this isn't really doing it for me either, across the board. For one, why does the entire vibe from the elongated syllables near the end of lines to the watery brand of autotune feel like a really frustrating Future impression from 3 years ago? I get that might be part of what producer Wheezy does, but the oscillations of scratchy beat off a half-buried weedy guitar, the standard trap beat, they don't add much, especially when A Boogie doesn't seem to make himself all that appealing, where apparently he realized his best friend was nasty as hell, kissing on bitches like lesbians, to quote him, so then he screwed her. And then on the verse we learn that there are people trying to screw his wife, and the whiplash in tone and content is excused as mood swings. Or, just an incoherent and kind of underwhelming song. I think I'm gonna go with that. Number 75, Behind Barz by Drake.
I don't really play no tic-tac-toe, been with chubs through highs and lows.
So I did not know that Drake put out a song recently, although the buzz was suggesting it was primarily for his UK audience. And yet I have to ask, given all the drama he has had with Wiley over there in recent weeks, I'm not sure him co-opting grime flows and styles yet again is remotely a good idea, especially off a compilation with a lot of other grime artists where apparently this is from. But that's the thing. This is not a new song. Not really at all. All these are bars we already heard when he did a freestyle for the UK for Link Up TV, only with a little bit more reverb and better blending. We heard this last year. And as such, I don't really have anything new to say about it. The flexing's utterly unconvincing with the phony patois he's trying, and while I do like the piano melody here, if you're just gonna repackage a freestyle, it feels like yet another cash grab from Drake in a year where that's all he's really delivered, underwhelming snippets across his entire career, just cashing him in. And this one, yeah, we could have left this behind. Easy. Number 45, Graveyard by Halsey.
Down all your darkest roads, I would have followed all the way to the graveyard.
Am I the only one kind of worried about Halsey's career right now? Yeah, Without Me is still huge, but Nightmare was a flop single and badly made to boot, and if she's doubling down on the darker side of mainstream pop, well, again, I was worried about how well she'd stick the landing. Her verse on Die For Me was promising, sure, and this? Well, okay, it's better produced than Nightmare, but I'm lukewarm on it at best. Yeah, I get the reflective impulse that questions how much you give to someone in a relationship when they're on a downward spiral, but I can't be the only one who feels like the auto-tune touches, the hand claps, and the brighter melody on the hook feels weirdly dissonant with the lyrical sentiment, especially when the bridge seemed to promise a darker change-up that did not happen. More specifically, it feels like an Aurora song that would have dropped late last year, except nowhere near as organic or textured or interesting. Which, okay, fine, it's still one of Halsey's better singles in recent memory, and I like that last Aurora album, but if she's trying to push her album off this, she might be in bigger trouble than she'll admit. Just saying. Number 40, Camelot by NLE Choppa.
The police, cause them bitches ain't gon' stop shit. Opposition's mad, if they play, they get in pop quick.
Well, the follow-up was bound to show up eventually, but my god, does anybody really care that much about another mediocre trap artist with bad mixing and interchangeable content? And while this might be better than Shot of Flow, although the vocals sound like a total pile-up of sloppily layered ad-libs beneath the clunky trap beat, I'm not hearing a lot that's so striking about this. A lot of gunplay, a lot of references to him getting his dick sucked where he wants her to gag on it, and then a bunch of punchlines that feel like they're supposed to be funny, but just aren't. Like that Baskin-Robbins line and referencing Johnny Bravo. Again, I don't really dislike it, the production's okay, but I don't see much of appeal here either, and I'm not gonna remember this. So next. And finally, number 13, Don't Call Me Angel by Ariana Grande, Miley Cyrus, and Lana Del Rey. I've been hearing some buzz about this collaboration for Charlie's Angels for a while now, and on the surface I was kind of fascinated by the combination of artists, as none of them seem to inhabit much of a similar pop ecosystem in style or sound, and yet I kind of like it. I think a lot of it has to do with the production, the rattling keys against the fizzy trap progression, the slight synth horns, relying on Ariana's cooing to anchor most of the song, softening some of Miley's biting sharpness, and then just giving over the entire bridge to submerge into the reverb saturation that's always been Lana's comfort zone. And while I'm always of the sort who prefers a little bit more vocal interplay as a trio, they do sound pretty solid together, and the sentiment of not wanting to be placed on a pedestal, appreciating the attention but never losing control of the power dynamic, they do sell that well. Hell, Lana playing into her sultry side at the end is actually a good way to really drive it home, especially as she's more comfortable with that sort of ambiguity than Ariana and especially Miley here. I think if I were to have a problem, it's that it kind of lacks a climax. The hook is pretty, it's got some flair, but I did hope a little bit more rawness or darker intensity would come in, amplify that sense of danger beyond just the minor keys and the melody. So I can see why some might be a little underwhelmed or say this lacks impact. But for me, yeah, you know what, I kind of like it. More than I thought I would. Good song. But it also means it's getting the honorable mention this week, with the best easily going to One Too Many by Luke Combs and Brooks and Dunn. Sorry folks, I'm a sucker for that brand of country, and they did it really well. Worst the wiki is even more obvious. Hot Girl Bummer by blackbear takes this by far, with a dishonorable mention going to Behind Bars by Drake for being a thoroughly lazy, embarrassing, and cheap cash grab for a UK audience that I reckon is not going to buy this anyway. Anyway, next week holds the question of how long any of this is going to hold up, especially on a relatively quiet week ahead. Well, we'll have to see. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse. And I'll